A lot that are watching online, and we want to thank you for watching online. Those of you who are joining in, you have to bear with me because I'm kind of running this and doing AV as well. Our hearts are heavy for Ashley as she lost her brother this past week to addiction, and so I want you to keep Ashley in your prayers as we. Let's start right now, if we could, before we even start our program. Let's start with a word of prayer. Father God, I pray that you will send your Spirit here to be amongst us, that you would enlighten us with the words that you're going to speak through me, Father. Be your words, not my words. Let people be blessed. Let their minds be open. Father, we're going to be talking about a tough topic tonight that a lot of people just don't want to deal with, but it's something that we truly need to deal with, and we need your help to be able to do that. So be with us, guide us. In Jesus' name we ask this, amen. I want to welcome all of you to Renew Recovery Community. We like to think of ourselves as your bridge to recovery, and we meet every Monday night right here at First Baptist Church in the Fellowship Hall. We always have something to eat. We meet always. It doesn't matter if there's holidays. It doesn't matter. Next week will be the 3rd of July. There might be some fireworks going on in here. Who knows? But we're going to be celebrating freedom. So we're going to be talking a little bit about freedom. And that's probably got something to do with freedom from addictive behaviors. So God hadn't told me what I'm going to talk about yet exactly. But I think it's going to be along the lines of freedom. But I want to welcome you here. And I would hope that we're glad you're here. We're glad you come no matter how you are, no matter where you are. For those of you who I know you're watching us so consistently every week from Florida, from Houston, Texas, from the mountains in North Carolina, and you reach out, and that means the world to us. And we hope that we are saying some things and God is speaking through us that touch your lives. And if it does, whoever you are and wherever you are, if the words that are said here tonight touch you, share it with somebody. Like our page, Renew Recovery Community, and share it with somebody. Share that page out there because you've got about 1 million friends on Facebook. I've got 4, I think. So friend me, and that'll be great. So we're going to get started tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about, as I said, a tough subject that none of us really want to talk about, but every one of us should deal with, because it is truly a big part of our addiction recovery journey, and that's resentment. All of us have at times in our lives some very, very deep, some very, very strong emotional memories. And emotional memories can be and are a main driver of our addiction and our addictive behavior. We really need to learn how to identify and get rid of those in our life if we're going to move forward in our recovery. It's really important. Resentment is perhaps, if we look at many things, because there's so many aspects of recovery and addiction, but it's perhaps the emotion that has the most significant impact on addiction and also on recovery. And I want to say up front that I hope we'll get through some of this material, but if we don't, I'll pick it up later because it's a big topic. But I want you to know that I'm not just speaking out of a book. I'm speaking from personal experience of what it can do to families. Resentment holds a big place for those of us who are walking through addiction and recovery. We don't want to look at it, but the last few weeks we've been kind of talking about the moral inventory, personal inventory, spiritual inventory, and that's a part of it. Is looking back at the things that caused the guilt, the shame. Who did we resent? So thus, it's a natural thing for us to move into this and look at this. When we think or feel that we have resentment, it's usually because we think that we've been done wrong. Somebody did us wrong, and we have the feelings that well up over that of anger, sadness, disappointment, and that list can go on and on and on. And they don't seem to go away very easily. those feelings, those emotions of anger, resentment, not resentment, anger, sadness, disappointment, those things, they turn into, if we let them, they turn into resentment. And that, we harbor those feelings. And we hold on to those things for years and years. And the least little thing that can be said will cause that to come out again. So I guess before we ever get started much, this is something, I love this. I was reading my Sunday school lesson the other day, and this happened to pop up, and I said, man, that just speaks to what we're talking about in resentment. This comes from Ephesians 4:31. Put away, we're talking about our emotions, right? We're talking about anger and all that. So put away all bitterness and wrath and anger, forgiving each other. Boy, it's so easy to say that. It's so hard to do it sometimes, isn't it? We know that. It's hard. I might forgive you, but I'm not going to forget it. Well, then have we really forgiven? No. We've got to be able to try to move on. We do. So let's try to define resentment a little bit, if we could. Resentment is a type of negative emotion that people experience when they feel they've been wronged in some way. We said that. It's that feeling that they've been harmed in one way or another. And it could be that it comes about because of something that actually happened. Or it could be purely imagined, perceived. And what I've learned about that word perception is our reality. But we have to work through that to see, did it really happen? Or is it just something, a figment of my imagination? So we have to look through that. Resentments are, I remember when I used to work in Agricultural Extension Service, there was this guy that worked with me, had this little calendar, this little notebook. And it was almost like people that wear those little pocket protectors, and they got their pen stuck in them. But he had his little notebook. He'd rip that thing out and write himself notes and stuff. And resentments are kind of like a type of having a little notebook. Man, we jot it down when somebody does us wrong. It tells us, and we go back and refer to it, and it tells us or gives us in our minds the reason that it almost gives us an excuse to use or to do some addictive behavior. We don't notice that we've got it all the time, but it's always there. Our little notebook is usually right back here in our mind, and we go back to it a lot. Resentment is said to closely relate to two emotions, and those are hatred and contempt. And it's suggested that the individual, us, if we are harboring resentment, we tend to experience this. We experience contempt when we feel that we've been wronged, or when somebody that we view, whether it's a peer or family or anybody else, we fear them as being inferior to us. We get angry and hold or harbor resentment when we think we've been wronged by somebody that's one of our peers, our equals, or someone we think that's an equal to us. We get really upset and hold resentment if we feel like we've been wronged by a superior, like a boss, like a teacher, like a leader, somebody like that. Because these resentments are housed, as I said earlier, in our memories, in our emotional memories. And in addiction, these memories can take us way down the wrong road and take us down that road where we will cause us to use. We allow it, those things that have happened in our past that we just can't get past, the angers, the disappointments, to cause us anger, and we don't let it go, and then it builds into resentment. Now, I'm not talking to you about anything that I haven't experienced or am experiencing. Now, there's two sides to this, and we'll get to that later, but I want to reiterate that on the front end. It can come from let's call them the addict, us, who are going through addictive behaviors and use those, we tend to be resentful of others. But we fail because we are so important. We're the most important person in the world in our own mind. And we fail to realize that maybe those that love us are harboring some resentment as well because of the things we've done to our family. So we need to stop and think about that sometimes. There's some common reasons for resentment. There's a lot of reasons for resentment. We're going to go, some of those include, has this ever happened to you? Somebody else trying to control your life, trying to tell you what to do, when to do it, and how much of it to do? We resent that. Somebody else trying to control our lives. We really don't like it when others don't act in the way that we think they should act. Do what we think they should do. So their failure to react in a certain way, in a desired way, our way. When people act as though they're, I know any of us that have walked this path very long get judged, get condemned, just by the way we look, the way we talk, the way we act. And we resent that when people act like they're superior to us. That might be justified, folks, unless we are acting like a fool. Then maybe it's on us. Sometimes we are resentful for others getting in the way of us trying to satisfy our own needs. Even when we're doing the dirt, we get really hacked off when somebody's trying to get in our way of what we think is the best way to satisfy our needs, even though it's wrong, the way we're doing it. We hate it when we resent when people say one thing but do something else. Have you ever had people like that? We call them hypocrites. But we're really quick to throw that word out there. Oh, they're hypocritical, man. They say this and they do that. Next time you want to know where the hypocrites are, go into your bathroom, turn on the light, look in the mirror. You'll see one. Because we all are that. We don't like it and we become resentful when there are people who are above us, our superiors, the authority figures, they abuse their power. We don't particularly like that and we become resentful. We don't like it when others say something that negatively impacts our self-esteem. The way they talk about us, the things they say about us. Face it, guys. Our self-esteem is on the bottom of the ocean anyway. We don't feel good about ourselves because of our decisions, because of our actions. So it's already bad. So when somebody else does that to us, that makes it even worse. We don't particularly like it when others lie to us. They tell us one thing. We've had those people that have told us, encouraged us, made us believe they were going to do something. They were going to support something. And then suddenly, they didn't follow through with it. We don't like that very much. We just don't like people to be unjust. When people do things that we just don't think that is unjust, it's not fair to others or to ourselves, we don't particularly like that. Some of the time, these things that I'm talking about are real. They are real occurrences that have happened. But just like we talked before, sometimes it's purely in our mind. It's purely in our mind because of the way we feel, because so many of us want to call the shots, do we not? On everything in our life. So sometimes it's nothing. And now, so we would turn to then what causes? There are many. What are the typical causes of resentment? We're going to break it down into several areas, but right now we're going to talk about our recovery. What are some of the causes, typical causes of resentment and recovery? Most of the time, people harbor resentment because of these common things. Friends and family don't seem to give us any credit whatsoever for the work that we're putting into our recovery. Maybe that's in our mind. Maybe we expect them to feel a certain way. Have any of you ever wanted somebody to pat you on the back? I mean, it's like, you know what to me, it's almost like when you see the guy, I've been watching the baseball World Series, and you see these kids, I mean, I could never hit that well. I was a good baseball player, but these guys are unhuman. But they go up and they make a great play, or they hit a home run, and they do all this big celebration. And I want to go, well, that's what you're expected to do. Well, I mean, you want everybody to jump up and act a fool? Do we not do the same way in our recovery sometimes? When we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, should everybody be jumping up and down? Here's the facts, guys. Facts are, we shouldn't have to have been in recovery, but we are. And people will give you credit when credit is due. But we don't sometimes think people are giving us enough credit. This is a big one. And some of this is justified. Hear me now. Some of this is justified. That friends and family continue to distrust us. Is there a reason that friends and family continue to distrust us? Is it because of our continued actions? It's not so much that friends and family are always going back historically and asking questions, hard questions. It may not be that they distrust you. Consider this. Maybe they're not banging you upside the head about it. Maybe they're trying to get you to stop and go back and look at decisions you've made or things that have happened to see if there's a pattern that has developed. There's got to be some reason that you're continuing to lose job after job after job. It's not all about you. It's not all about those people that are stopping you from working. Sometimes it's about us stopping for a moment and coming to an understanding, peeling the layers off the onion, we are the onion, and trying to understand what is it that I'm continuing to do? What decision am I continuing to make that is causing these things to happen? It's not about distrust. It's about love and trying to help you to see. They're not hammering you. They're trying to get you to see what's going on. We hate it when anybody tries to tell us what to do. So we really resent it when people try to interfere in our life, any form of it, except when we want them to do something for us. And then we're all nice. And I know that you don't act that way. I know none of you out there act that way. I'm talking about me now. I'm going to be just real nice to you if I'm wanting something. But the rest of the time, stay out of my business. Would any of us have been that way a time or two in our life? Let me tell you something. Some of you are watching. I'm thankful that you're watching and you're sitting there beside somebody that you love. And they're probably squirming because I'm hitting home on some stuff that's not comfortable, and I know that. And you're probably going, yeah, give it to them. But let me tell you something. You need to understand this about this thing. Recovery is for all of us. Because every one of us, without question, barring none, have had some hurt, have had some guilt, have had some shame, have made some decisions. If we could go back, we would have probably made those decisions differently. So don't be going, hey, go. Stop and think about how this is affecting you and the things that you have done. Have you acted this way as well? Recovery is not easy. You hear me say all the time, recovery is the real deal. It's tough. And so what we see in recovery sometimes, because finally now we start to feel again. And when you start to feel emotions that you haven't felt because we've hid them, we've ran from them through our addictive behavior, whatever it is, we start to see that life is much more challenging than we ever expected it to be. And when things are more challenging, when we start to lose the job or something is not going the way we expect it to do, what do? Well, we play the blame game. It's the therapist's fault. It's our friend's fault. It's our boss's fault. It's our family member's fault for making these things happen to us. We look around at ourselves and we look around at others, and a lot of times others don't get better. They don't seem to be getting better in recovery. Sometimes we look at others and they're doing a whole lot better than we are. And we get resentful for that. How could they? I'm going to the same meetings. I'm reading that same stuff that Roger's given us. I'm listening to the same stuff and they seem to be great. I'm a little resentful of that. How do they do so well and I don't? And then we start getting resentful of ourselves that, well, maybe it's because my own efforts are bad. Maybe I'm not doing it right. People in our recovery, whether people were around us, peers, family, people at work, a lot of times they don't behave in the manner that we expect them to. And we get kind of resentful of that, because especially when we're new in our recovery, especially 3-4 months in, we think we've got it. We've got the tiger by the tail, so to speak, and we got it figured out. And we look around at others and, man, I got it figured out, but you don't. And if you listen to me, I can tell you how to do it. Until you can't. Until you don't. We get really resentful for people who kind of stand in the way or get in the way of our attempts at building a life away from our addiction. This could be our old playmates, because they still call. We run into them. You want me to tell you how to stop that? Delete them out of your phone. Block the number. Don't feel like just because you are working your program and it's working for you, that you've got to go get somebody that you used to do the dirt with and lead them through it. You can go on the road with it, but they may take you down the wrong road. So you have to be very careful about that. Early recovery. Some of us have been in recovery for a long time. Some of us are brand new. Some of you are just now thinking about starting recovery. Don't let me scare you away from it. It's a great thing. It's a great life. It takes you to where you want to be, where you've always dreamed of being and haven't been able to because of your addictive behaviors. But early in your recovery, it's kind of described like an emotional roller coaster. And people tend to have or be given a lot of negative energy and negative emotions. And it happens all the time. One day you'll be happy as you can be and everything's going great. Then one little thing happens and boy, you're on the Dollywood biggest coaster, you know? And it's taking, but it's part of the process. And we need to understand that you're going to have good days. And you're going to have some days that are not quite so good. Let me tell you real quickly some of the signs of resentment, and then we're probably going to stop there for tonight. Feelings of resentment can come out in many ways, depending upon you and who you're around and the stage you are in of your recovery. Some signs that you might be experiencing or harboring resentment could be these negative feelings come over and over. They're recurring. They happen over and over and over. One of the things that will let you know that there's a sign of resentment somewhere is that you can't stop thinking about that trigger, that thing that caused you to use that addictive behavior. That's an emotional, it's embedded in there. You see things and it reminds you of using. And if you're not careful, it will take you back to relapse and take you back to using. If you fear or you avoid and you run from conflict, that's a sign of resentment. Avoidance. Not all confrontation is bad, guys. Sometimes it's good. You just got to learn how to do it. You can't really do it screaming and shouting. You know, I remember when I was a teacher and I was in the alternative program, and some of those kids understood that, you know, we all know that whoever yells loudest wins, right? And so I would have so many kids that would go, I'm about to go off. And instead of being, I was just learning, okay? I learned better. But I go, where are you going? I might want to go too. Well, that would just set them off even more. So confrontation is not necessarily bad. We have to learn how. Because confrontation can take us through the journey and take us to a better place. That's really important. Experiencing regret or remorse constantly, that's a sign of resentment. We have to learn to let go. We talk about that a lot. One of those phrases in recovery is let go and let God. You can't hold on to the bitterness forever. You've got to learn to let it go or it will eat you alive. Some of us have relationships and relationships are good, but they can't all be tense. They can't all be argumentative. Have you seen people that you go, wow, they look like, you know, Father Knows Best on TV or something. It's just wonderful and beautiful. Then you see those that's just yeah, constantly. That's not good. That brings on resentment. So you have to be careful with the relationships you have. Because of who we are and how we've done things and the decisions we've made in our life. Let me stop before him say that. You are good. You are worthy. Did you hear me? You are good and you are worthy. You were created by God and he don't make no mess. So when we're constantly feeling inadequate or less than, that can bring on. That's a sign of resentment and being unable to let go of the anger. At some point, you got to let it go. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying that we have a series of 8 principles and 12 steps that we work through. For those of you who have never been here, I welcome you. I want you to come. I want you to be embraced by these folks here. I'm telling you. You know, we have a good crowd that always comes. But God is using the airwaves because we have hundreds. Yes, that's right. We have hundreds that watch this every week. And I believe that it's making a difference. I believe that you're hearing the words, and I hope you'll use these things that come to you. We work through a series of principles and steps here. It's not all about coming to eat. We like to eat. Can't you tell? I love to eat. But it's building relationships. You've got to build a relationship with somebody before they'll ever listen to you. Mm-hmm. So we'll do that first. And we do that through sitting and getting to know each other. And then we'll have a lesson. And then after the lesson, like we're going to do in just a little bit, we'll break away and we'll go back and we'll have small group where the real work happens in recovery, in small group, because it's there that people can really talk about the things that are really bothering them, things that have happened that weekend, and we'll have a topic. And we'll talk tonight, we'll be talking about some part of resentment, letting go. And we share one with the other, and we grow from that. Probably not next week, because next week I'm going to talk about freedom. I'll somehow roll this into it. But we are going to, in the future, in the next little bit, we'll be talking about resentment again. And we'll be talking about resentment in addiction and how it affects our addiction. We'll continue to talk about in our recovery. We're going to talk a little bit because, you know, when people go to, I don't know if you have, but if you've ever gone to a program, I don't care if it's AA, NA, Celebrate Recovery, I don't care where it is, and you have people who give testimony. Sometimes I look at that as a war story. And we're going to talk about the issues with war stories as well, and the dangers of these war stories. I'm going to ask you a question. I'm not going to talk about it tonight, but I'm going to ask you a question. Do you agree that there are resentments within families? That would be a resounding yes. We're going to talk about that a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about how resentment can contribute to a relapse for those of us who are well into our recovery and we think everything's going well. But as we're doing our inventories and we look at that column and says, who did you resent? I told you last week and the week before, it's got to be balanced. We've got to look back at what caused the resentment. That's on column 1. But if you go to that sheet, and you can go back in our videos, go down to more on our page, go down to the little word more, and there's a drop-down menu. And in the drop-down, it'll have videos. And you can roll down through our videos and see the one on moral inventory. I think it was a 2-parter. And we'll talk some about that. But we showed in one of those videos, and I think also Ashley, when she put up a link to a fillable PDF for that inventory sheet. And so we talk about resentments are in column 1. But over in column 5, what role did I play in this resentment? What was my part that I played in this? So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then, you know, we'll talk about how do we overcome? How are we overcoming these resentments? So you see, there's a lot more to talk about in this. And we'll do that over a course of time. We'll talk about the things we can do with that. But for tonight, I think we're going to stop right there. And I want to tell you that it may take me a get there. I'm kind of doing this by myself tonight. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming again. I hope you will like our page. I hope you will share it with somebody. If you've heard anything, if you've come here tonight, I want you to bring somebody with you next week. If you're online, reach out, make a phone call to somebody and go, hey, if it's a loved one, if in your family you're experiencing resentment, anger, hurt, pain, if you're just hacked off because somebody is in your business, if you're just a family member, a loved one, and you're just mad because of all the garbage that those of us who are doing these addictive behaviors have brought upon your family, those are resentments. If you've heard something tonight that goes, whoa, man, that's a little close to home, pick up the phone. Don't do it in anger. Go, hey, I care about you. I love you. I heard something tonight. I watched something tonight. I need you to, please, if you would, let me give you the link to this. Go listen to that. Go watch that. And then, can we sit calmly and talk about it. Hope you can. A lot of feelings, emotions get in the way of great relationships sometimes, but I hope you can. So until next time I talk with you, and if you need help working through it, I'm as close as linking me up in the comments. Give me an opportunity to talk with you and walk with you through this. We're as close as coming down here every Monday night, being in a small group with us, hearing what we're doing in large group. So until next week, I love you, but God loves you so much more. Good night.
Amen.
Oh.